City trees live in the loud and wild city of Toronto and in cities all over the globe, longing for the forest, yet feel at home here in their safe space, in their very designated space provided by us, city folk. They make the best of where they are. This part of Bay Street cares about their trees and has a few signs about them. Our best friend on earth is the tree. When we use it respectfully, we have one of the greatest resources of the earth. Frank Lloyd Wright. That's Bay Clover Hill Community Association, the Bay Street Bioswale. The BCCA, in partnership with the City of Toronto, championed this grassroots initiative designed to improve growing conditions for the street trees along the east side of Bay Street. Thank you. The benefits of trees. Between a human and a tree is the breath. We are each other's air. Our street trees will provide many benefits, including improved air quality, carbon storage, temperature moderation, energy conservation, and stormwater management. Celebration of trees. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. Chinese proverb. This retrofit community project, completed in July 2012, was an initiative ecologically inspired redesign of the public realm on the east side of Bay Street between Grosvenor and Wellesley Streets. I'm really glad they're trying to take care of the trees and the streets. A new paradigm for Bay Street. If you would know strength and patience, welcome to the company of trees. Hal Borland. Underground in the public realm is a continuous tree ditch. Above ground are open planting areas with precast curbs around and trench covers with leaf grates through which runoff rainwater is channeled. Hey, that's pretty cool. I didn't know there was a continuous tree ditch under there. Can you believe that there's a whole tree communication system under there? It's like the tree internet over here. I bet they communicate a lot and keep in touch. I'm real happy about that. And actually, ironically, right across from this whole tree ditch thing is this unfortunate tree situation. Or maybe a bush? But anyways, it's tall enough to be a tree. And he's knocked over in his pot, and it was a windy day, so I wasn't sure whether to pick him up or let him rest. I decided to let him rest in the end. But just was a little bit ironic to see these neglected trees here with no tree ditch communication system compared to the livelihoods and well-beings of their brethren just adjacent. It's pretty fun though that the pine is well decorated. I like the little decorative balls on there, that's neat. I think a decorated tree is often a happy tree. There's some good attention and care going into them. Although, you know, he does look lonely. 'Cause you know, trees have their whole root system. That's why they do long for the forest. Because that's how they talk to each other. If their roots can't find each other, then it's just quiet. The trees on Bay Street have a lot of people watching to do. It's pretty sweet. Lots of different kinds of folks walking up and down this street every day. I wonder if this is also part of that tree ditch. I don't think it is. It's a bit further up the road, but it'd be pretty sweet if this street tree had friends. At least you can people watch from here. Plenty. And I joined him in that today. Those guys look pretty swanky. I wonder what he bought. Nice puffer jackets. Lots of cool stuff to see, plus it's a snowy day. It's pretty pleasant, especially on the street where it looks the same all the time. Even the lonesome street tree is important, plays a role as the natural clock of the city. When there's so much concrete that just absorbs all the snow immediately, it's hard to tell when it's winter from your window, unless there's a leafless tree outside. And you can tell spring's really coming when it starts to bud, and when the leaves are there, you can see it's finally summer. And as they start to turn, you see fall come. One hopes to be an introverted city tree, if you're planted alone especially. It's nice that those trees down the street are connected by a tree ditch. I wonder if that could happen more, or if there's other ways we could make sure to give trees friends. I think planting one alone is a bit tragic, really. You know, and I just don't know that the shrubs around this guy have the same kind of interests as him, you know. He's the only tree. He needs other tree friends to relate to. There's no representation of him in this ditch. So, make sure when you see them that you give them a nice big hug and a pat. They will appreciate that. I liked running into this little market they had. Plants for sale outside. It was cute to see all these little plants sitting underneath the tree, the street tree. I like to picture that the street tree is kind of a grandfather figure to them. They're chatting, and the grandfather street tree is telling them stories of Bloor Street, or College Street, I think. Stories of College Street. And then they take a little break to people watch. It was a real windy, cold day, so I'm glad that this tree still had some company. Maybe I do have to apologize to the city tree, because admittedly in the winter, I think they are just a little bit ugly. They're just resting. But I'm still sorry for having that thought. They're trying their best. But one thing that I do like about the winter trees is that you can see their branch formations so clearly. Because you really see the contrast and the detail against the gray sky. Oh wow, look at that snowflake. This grandfather street tree will make a good home for city squirrels. And look at those little ones. They must be having a good chat. I like this little apartment building, and it's nice on the side streets actually, the city trees. They get a little bit more social time. A bunch of them planted on the block. I'm sure they have a little social system somewhere underneath the ground there. I hope. But it's cute. The residential streets in Toronto are undeniably adorable. There'll be families who live down here. Families who love their street trees. City trees. A city tree with some leaves left on it caught my eye down this alleyway. And across from it, a tree that had found a job as a fence. Look at those nice dry leaves, holding on strongly. And quite a nice sound that they make. I like the rattling in the wind. Even though it was a windy, cold day, I do like that it makes the world an instrument. I like to imagine that these bros keep each other company pretty well throughout the year. He's the little tree who keeps his leaves all year, and His friend across the street is the tree who feels proud to be a working citizen, as a fence as well as a tree, a multi-hyphenate. And he got to keep his life as well. Most trees, they'll lose their life to become a fence. I wonder what kind of tree that is. I'm not so good with figuring out the types of trees, especially when they don't got their leaves. Occasionally I'll remember leaf formations like I could tell you what an oak leaf looks like. And maybe this guy kind of looks like an oak, but I don't know. But I feel very connected to the trees, the city trees. Nevertheless, he's got some moss growing on him as well. It's a nice dense tree as well. I think it does a pretty good job as a fence. Not half bad. Then there's this cute little lineup of trees on this alleyway as well. Little babies. They're gonna grow up together. And then there's the pines that'll show off all year how they can keep all their little needles. But if you got it, flaunt it. I saw a couple families leaving their houses. Up the street, there's a family getting into a taxi with suitcases. And just wonder what kind of family vacation they're going on, and I feel real excited that they're gonna have a great time and make some lasting, lifelong memories. And I wonder if the trees see it happening too, and maybe are excited for them just like I am. And if they'll be excited for their return and to maybe hear all about it as they walk down the street with their friend once they're back. It's this funny little yard forest, Toronto style, at this place that I just had to capture. Some shrubs that are well taken care of. Just wish they were maybe sharing some dirt is all, you know. This tree has some bling. On this windy day, it was playing a bit of a tune for us. Schoolyard trees, I think they have pretty good. They get to people watch children as they're growing up and learning so much. I always loved the trees around my schoolyard as a kid. I remember climbing them a bit. They're practically babysitters. I stopped by Bloomers to charge my camera. It was so cold out that it murdered my battery, the only battery I have for it, and frankly, perhaps the only battery for this camera left in existence. Anyways, sitting at their bar, I noticed this street tree caged up like a criminal. What'd this tree ever do? Looks like he's really done something to piss the city off. But then, of course, it's all for its own protection. This here is Bloor Street, and Bloor will get rowdy. I think it's probably for the best that this tree is protected like this. Looks like he just feels a bit trapped and lonely there. I can empathize with that. Feeling stuck and all. Maybe some of us aren't so different than the city trees. At least we can replant ourselves, though, independently. Looking at a tree like this on the city street, I don't feel so stuck myself. And I wish I could bring all the city trees into a field together. But then what would the city do? There's birds and bugs and CO2 and rain that visit the city trees for business and pleasure all the time. Maybe it's lonely in terms of tree friends, but it's definitely not an antisocial life. The city tree has a lot of work to do. Big, dirty cities like Toronto need all the help that they can get towards having some clean air and cozy atmosphere. Just even this one tree adds a lot of warmth to this city street. Nice to see the bikers go by from his perspective. I wonder if he says good morning to the street trees across from him. City trees are a resilient breed. this light in the center right. It's very bright. You might not be able to tell all that well when it's right against the gray sky, but it's powerful light. And there'll be lights in this park just about all night long. Those field lights behind it too light up an entire baseball field. But the city tree doesn't mind. And they stay standing strong and tall, doing their job, minding their business, and feeling calm all the way through any disturbances. And especially here, I can tell you from experience, it can get pretty rowdy. It's a popular skate park on sunny days. There'll be a lot of sound, a lot of boards and wheels slapping the concrete, well, the asphalt. People cheering loudly and happily for their friends. Yeah, the overstimulation, maybe it can seem like a lot, but a lot of the time it's just an exciting proof of life and proof of love too. And they're cheering for their friends when they're coming out to do something they enjoy, like skateboarding or baseball. It's a lot of joy, and I think that the trees just like to soak that in. You'll see the faces that visit the skate park change year after year. See them grow up and land new tricks and break ankles. This city tree was noticed as a good spot to have a bench, and it was surrounded by a bench. I think this is an interesting take, you know, an alternative to the fence around the street tree that we saw. This is a bit more inviting, but really kind of the same thing. It's nice, this tree can get some intimate human company. Maybe even read over their shoulder. Look at all the trees in this city park. They must have a lot to talk about. And I'm sure the tree's used to it, but around this time the sewage truck came down and started doing its thing. I appreciate a park that has good maintenance. And I love that this park has a public bathroom. Every good park has one of those, that's for sure. Those that are supposed to have people in them, anyway. I'm sure a lot of these trees have been used as toilets, unfortunately. I just looked it up, and under its scaly armor, a tree has a layer of tissue called the cambium that makes it grow in diameter. The chemicals in urine can soak through exterior bark and damage the vital substance, explains Basak, either destroying the tree or impairing its growth. That's from a Bloomberg News article called "Why You Shouldn't Let Your Dog Pee on Trees." This is an article by John Metcalf on August 30th of 2012 at 9 a.m. EDT. I remember there was one time I needed to charge my phone really bad. I was out skateboarding with a friend. I was looking for a plug, maybe on a building, maybe on an apartment building or something that I could borrow for a minute. And wouldn't you know, the only place that I found a plug was on a tree. And now this tree's wired up and it's got an outlet on it. You can kind of understand why, as people have taken it upon themselves to wrap it up. And all of these lights, extravagantly, with great detail. The lights are a bit bunched up, and I think you can tell they've been there a while. But it probably looks spectacular at night. Anyways, it's a bit funny to see the trees wired up like this, made electric. They have outlets on them. These trees, they've got better wiring than half the old homes in Toronto. Lots of old homes here still have two-prong. But this tree, it's grounded, of course. But it's pretty funny. I remember walking up to that tree that I found with an outlet on it and plugging my phone into it and feeling real grateful and imagining that the tree had grown it. Something felt really organic about it, even though of course it wasn't, but it felt real organic. I like to hope, and it's not something I'll ever test, but I like to hope that maybe if you did cut the shape of a outlet into a tree, maybe it would work. Would work. But don't try it. I think it's better we never know. And of course these trees were made to match this tiger figure. According to Korean mythology, it symbolizes well-being and prosperity. Bako is apparently his name, and I might not be pronouncing that quite right. He's made out of more than 1,300 pounds of aluminum and 22,000 orange and white LED bulbs. Here in Yorkville, we can see this interesting city forest. Each tree has a little patch with an interesting round circular tree patch. But I do wonder if it's got that ditch underneath like that other sign said earlier. I wonder if these trees get to talk to each other. I hope so, but I don't know, because they're also surrounded by all these lights, right? It's interesting you've got this electrical forest mixed with a tree forest. I wonder what the wiring looks like underneath here. You can imagine all the roots and all the wires. It's a whole life underground. Trees definitely seems like they know more than us in some ways. As the sun set, I made my way back indoors to the warmth, and I turned off my lights to go to bed. But the city trees stayed illuminated in their artificial forests. This is another interesting artificial forest. This one doesn't seem like it has the tree ditch going underneath. This seems like each of them has their planter. And they're accompanied by lights and the honking of the cars, and their wheels on the pavement, and the cops with their sirens every now and then. I feel safer walking around though in a city that has these trees set up. Feels like they're watching. Feels like they'll look over me. Like they'll look over all of us. The next time you see a city tree, especially if it looks a little bit lonely, remember again to give it a good hug and a pat. And I do think that the city trees got our city folk backs. We share breath after all.